to part 2 of my catch-up spoilers for the Commander Legends product that is coming out here shortly. Glad to have you with us. What we are going to be doing today is going through all of the blue cards that are out up to this point. I will be doing a catch-up video probably sometime shortly to also catch up on all of the cards that I have missed in colors I've done up to this point. It's going to take me a little bit to get caught up overall, but hopefully I'm going to get all that taken care of before we actually get through the entirety of spoilers. But as I mentioned, we're going to start through blue. Now, I haven't really looked through any of these. These are going to be basically looked at from a commander standpoint, which is the primary format that I play in. We're going to start with Anfin Mutineer. It is 3 and a blue for a 3/3 creature salamander pirate. When Anfin Mutineer enters the battlefield, exile up to one target non-salamander creature. That creature's controller creates a 4/3 blue salamander warrior creature token. It also has Encore of 4 and double blue. Now, if you're not familiar, what Encore is you exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of your next end step, activate only as a sorcery. I'm kind of a fan of this mechanic. It is really multiplayer driven. That being said, your targets for this are really going to be something you're going to want to effectively trade up for. Especially things that are indestructible, I think is going to be your best bet overall. I'd like to think like gods, that sort of thing. On top of that, should you be able to Encore it at 6, which is not all that unreasonable in Commander, you do effectively get to exile up to 3 target non-salamander creatures, so that's pretty solid. And I think that's going to be a fair trade most of the time. Even then, with ETB being the trigger on this, I see this going in like Yorick decks or anything else that cares about enter the battlefield. Brago decks also probably going to want something like this just so that you can get it repeatedly. I think it's a pretty good card. We have Brenlin, the Moon Kraken, 6 and double blue, 6/8. It is an uncommon legendary creature Kraken. It has, when Brenlin, the Moon Kraken, enters the battlefield, or whenever you cast a spell with a converted mana cost 6 or greater, you may return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then it also has Partner. My fear with this is it's an 8 casting cost legendary creature. It's more likely to be something in like the 99, especially something you cheat into play. I don't really see this being a commander unless your partner lets you, seriously mana ramp. I don't know, what it will really be going good with. Probably a green partner, but again, at that point, you're just wanting to run all the beefy boys and hope to keep bouncing their stuff. The one good thing I do like about it is, again, it does have that ETB trigger. So if you've got something like Brago or Yorick or something else that bounces creatures, or flickers them rather, it actually kind of becomes pretty good right then. Conjurer's Closet, obviously, an auto-include for something like that. Confiscate, this is a reprint, it's been around for almost ever. There's 4 and double blue enchantment aura, enchant permanent, you control enchant permanent. It's pretty simple. It's a lot better now than it was when it first came out, because if I recall correctly, when it first came out, we didn't have Planeswalkers. That's how long I've been playing, arguably since beta, but regardless, 6 mana for gain control of target permanent. Well, it's not even target permanent, but you have to target since an aura. You get the point. It's still not too bad. It's usually a good little filler card for 99. If you're playing a heavy control deck, I like it just because it gains control of their best card, potentially even their commander. It's a great way to grab controls of planeswalkers that are about to either emblem off or get their ultimate, whatever. It's not a bad card. It's just one of those, usually situational. You usually don't end up trading up for it, sadly, but it does gain control of any permanent, so it can be pretty useful. Court of Cunning, I believe this is a new card. I might be mistaken, but I think it's new. 1 and double blue enchantment. When Court of Cunning enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, any number of target players each mills 2 cards. If you are the monarch, each of those players mills 10 cards instead. I am not a huge fan of the monarch mechanic. Of certain decks, it's great. I'm not a huge fan of mill strategies in Commander. There are a couple of exceptions. By far and large, though, Mill usually doesn't work in Commander because most Commander decks will have some kind of answer for it. That being said, you know what? It's 3 mana to become the Monarch. You're going to get a card off of this more than likely. So it's not horrible. If it actually gets past, a full turn and you're still the Monarch, well, it's not bad. It's not good. I don't think this card is all that great. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play. Elegoth Crossroad Augur is a 4 and double blue legendary creature Sphinx with flying. It is a 5/6, and if you would look at any number of cards while scrying, draw that many cards instead. I think that's the right text for that, I'm hoping. I heard about this card, admittedly, before doing this video. I do not want to use this card as a commander. I mean, it might be a fun build-around card, but I know, my mono-blue commander of choice. That being said, I like this in a 99 of anything that's a blue X deck. Especially something that you're probably going to be scrying a lot anyway to try to get whatever your cards are. I really plan to put one of these in my Niv-Mizzet deck because I have a lot of scry and draw effects in there, and this just makes them better. I imagine there's probably some partner that's just going to make this card busted. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. But regardless, it seems like a good card. Even at 6, as it's only it as a commander, I think this is a pretty good rate for this card, and, I might just see some play as itself, not partnered with anything else. But I imagine there's probably, again, some partner out there that's just going to make this card busted crazy, so it's good. Fall from Favor, 2 and a blue, enchantment aura, enchant creature. When Fall from Favor enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature, and you become the Monarch. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step unless that player is the Monarch. When I first heard about this card, I thought it was a lot better than it was, and then I had to reread it about 2 or 3 times because it pretty much sucks if you're not the Monarch, or because the minute it really incentivizes your opponent to become the Monarch more so than just normal. There are so many cards I would rather play into this, so many other effects that are similar to this, and I think it just paints way, way too big of a bullseye on your head. And I don't think becoming the Monarch is worth the downside of the bottom part. Forceful Denial is 3 and double blue, instant Cascade, counter target spell. This is a reprint. I don't know if it's really needed, but it is a reprint. I am of 2 minds of most Cascade effects. I think Cascade can be just stupid for free casting, especially if it's built in the right deck. But 5 mana for a hard counter, even with Cascade, is iffy. You're going to, I think, miss more often than you like with this for the Cascade. I really wouldn't play it. Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro. I'm presuming I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. 2 and a blue legendary creature, Spirit Pirate. It is a 2/3. Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro can't be blocked by creatures with toughness 3 or greater. Whenever Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro, man, that's going to get really tedious. Deals combat damage to a player, choose up to 1 target card in a graveyard that was discarded or put there from a library this turn. Put that card in its owner's hand. Okay. This is a lot of text to do a lot of work that doesn't seem worth it. First, you have to have discarded something, or forced your opponents to discard something, in which case it's not really an advantage. Perhaps in a self-mill plan, this might be good, but it seems super risky and really not that good. The only thing I like about this is it can't be blocked by creatures with toughness 3 or greater. Really narrow. There's probably something stupid you can do with this, but I can't think of it at the moment. I frankly am not going to play it. Horizon Scholar is 5 and a blue for a creature Sphinx with flying. When Horizon Scholar enters the battlefield, scry 2. It is a 4/4. 4/4 for 6 and blue is a little below rate, in my opinion, even with flying. The fact that it lets you scry 2 is meh. I mean, by the time that you're spending 6, getting the scry 2 trigger is okay, but there's got to be better things that you would want, even with an ETB trigger. at 6 mana. I'd say pass. Intrepid Designs is 5 and a blue for a sorcery. Scry 3, sorry, and then reveal the top card of your library. Draw cards equal to that card's converted mana cost. For 6 mana, I think in the right build, you're going to be building or getting at least 3 to 4 off of this most of the time. I'm kind of excited to see this on like an Eldrazi build, like blue Eldrazi decks, or say blue-green with like huge, massive creatures and payoff for that. I probably will also drop this into my Niv Mizzet deck that I run because, well, it is draw cards equal to that card's converted mana cost, and that's usually, with the Scry 3, going to be plenty enough to get me to be able to rip off the turn after, hopefully. I think it's a good card. I think it's going to see play. I don't think it's going to be a staple by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good draw effect. I mean, being able to Scry 3 for 6, it's kind of worth a card and a half, but then being able to draw cards equal to that converted mana cost. The only downside is you do have to reveal that card. So, I mean, it does give the opponent a little information. At 6, I would hope it would do a little more, but it's not bad. I think it's okay. Kitesail Courser is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 human pirate that has flying as long as it's attacking. There are a lot of pirate cards I have seen thus far in this set. I don't really think this card is good. I mean, there are better 2 casting cost flyers in the game. And unless you're playing like a heavy pirate theme or humans, I just don't see playing this. I don't think it's that great. Another pirate, 3 and a blue, Kitescale Skirmisher. Again, human pirate, flying. When it attacks another target player attacking the same player or planeswalker gains flying until end of turn. It's target creature attacking. This is a little better, I guess. It does also have an Encore 4 and a blue. So for 4, you get a flying 3/1. Okay, it's not great. But it does give another attacking creature flying until end of turn. So it does let you at least get over things, hopefully. The Encore bit is kind of nice. I mean, it's 5 mana, and hopefully you're going to, do 9 damage off of the creatures, and also give 3 creatures you control flying. I mean, it's kind of Magical Christmas Land, which is why I'm just not that really psyched about this card. Laboratory Servant, 3 and a blue, creature zombie horror. At the beginning of each end step, draw a card. If you've cast a spell from a graveyard or activated an ability of a card in a graveyard this turn. That is super narrow. Oh, and it's 3/4. It is super narrow. There are definitely deck builds that are going to want this. Anything that plays stuff out of your graveyard, obviously, is going to want something like this, but it is going to be something that's going to help decks that are really designed to play out of your graveyard. There are plenty of them, and I think it'll do a lot of good work in there. Is it great? Yeah, it's good. I think it's a fine card, but it's going to be really narrow, the decks that are going to want this. Malcolm Key Eye Navigator, 2 and a blue, legendary creature, Siren Pirate. Again, more pirates. 2/2, flying, and whenever one or more pirates you control deals damage to your opponents, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage. Also has partner. While there are a lot of really good pirates, there are actually plenty of decent pirates in blue. I see this going to find a home in anything that runs a lot of changelings, frankly, because there are good pirates, but there's not a whole ton of good pirates. It does create treasure tokens, but it's on deals damage. To note, it is deals damage, not combat damage. That is actually a nice effect on that. There's probably some way to use and abuse that. Probably some weird infinite trigger combo that I am not thinking of at the moment that exists. But the fact that it does have partner will lend into that sort of things. I think this will probably see some play. Somebody will find some way of busting this card, and then it's just going to get stupid. Merchant Raiders is 3 and a blue, another pirate, human pirate, 2/4. And whenever Merchant Raiders or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, tap up to 1 target creature. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step as long as you control Merchant Raiders. This is a fine card. This is a good card. I like this card. This card is better than the last card. Even if you're not running a lot of pirates, it's still not horrible. A 2/4 for 4 that taps down a dude and potentially taps down more. This could get really crazy for a control build and keeping down other players' creatures. hopefully their commanders. I expect to see some play of this. I don't think it's going to see a ton, but there are definitely going to be decks that are going to want this in their 99, especially things that rely on ETB triggers. Mnemonic Deluge is 6 and triple blue, so that's a big boy. Sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Copy that card 3 times. You may cast copies without paying their mana costs. Exile Mnemonic Deluge. Oh boy. Immediate thoughts to this card are any deck that runs a gain additional turn card is not going to want it in their graveyard against this. If you're running them, you're going to want it in your graveyard. It is 9, and 9 casting cost spells hopefully will end games in Commander. If they don't, you have a problem and probably should not be running them. But at 9, the power for this card is definitely there. You should be able to hopefully win a game off of casting this. I definitely see this in most control builds. Some combo decks may even want this. At 9, it is just crazy. Omniscience obviously just makes it stupid, but Omniscience makes everything stupid. It is a good card. There's reasons in Mythic, and this card is pushed. I like it a lot. Omen Speaker. This is a reprint. It's been around for a while. Got the M19 here version just to kind of show. It is a 1/3 human wizard for 1 and a blue, and when it enters the battlefield, you scry 2. Sometimes it's all you need, and 2 mana to scry 2 isn't bad. The fact that it comes with a 1/3 body, also not bad. The fact that it's on an ETB trigger, also not bad. Lots of ways to use and abuse this card. I think everybody knows that at this point, and, not that we necessarily needed a reprint, but I'll take it. Preordained, another reprint. We've got the M11 version, which I think was the initial printing. This is scry 2, then draw a card for 1 blue. So, scry 2 plus cantrip. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's kind of been a staple for a while. It's no ponder, but, what is. For a single blue, in most decks that are wanting to dig down to try to find something they need, it's a good card early game, it's a good card late game, it's always a good card for 1 blue mana. You just can't knock this card. Prying Eyes, if I remember correctly, was from Kaladesh or Kaladesh Block initially. It is 4 and double blue. Draw 4 cards and discard 2 cards. There are a lot of cards that make this card even better than it looks now. 4/6. It's not horrible, especially in decks where you want to dump stuff into your graveyard. And it is at instant speed, so you don't have to do it on your turn, which does, I think, make all the difference for this. It's a good card. It's not great. It's good. Any deck that, again, is either has a solid draw strategy as their backbone, or they want to get cards specifically in their graveyard, it's a good card for it. Runaway Together. This is a recent reprint, if I remember correctly. This was in that Fairy Tale set that was, not that far back. Heck, I even think it's still in Standard. I don't play a lot of Standard, bear with me. But it is 1 and a blue for an instant. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hand. It's super good in multiplayer because you don't have to worry about targeting one of your creatures. You target 2 of somebody else's creatures. At that point, it's a really good rate for 2 mana. Sure, it doesn't exile them, but it at least takes them off the board for a little bit. And for 2 mana, that's about as good as you can hope for. Cyanide, Eye of the Storm, 3 and a blue. Again, I saw this one a little bit before. Was pretty impressed when I saw it the first time. I think I'm going to be pretty impressed again. But it is a legendary creature, Jin Monk, 3/2, flying. And whenever Cyanide, Eye of the Storm attacks, you scry X, where X is the number of attacking creatures with flying, and it has partner. I really see this on like a Blue-Eyed Skies deck. That I think is where it's going to do the most work. Maybe in a Blue-Red Flyers, like a Locust God deck. I think that actually would be pretty insane. As far as, what to partner with it, couldn't really tell you off the top of my head, but again, maybe something white with flying, maybe something red with flying. But the fact that, you get to scry every time you attack, even if it's only a scry 1 for 4 mana, not super all that bad. Like I said, if there's a partner that works really well with it, I think it's going to be pretty busted. Siren Storm Tamer, again, if I remember correctly, this is a reprint. I just can't remember from where. It is a Siren Pirate Wizard, so I'm going to guess Ixalan block. 1/1 flyer, and you can spend a blue, sacrifice Siren Storm Taper, counter target spell or ability that targets a creature you control. Most useful for, well, protecting your commander. There are obviously other uses for it, and it's not a bad card either. It's a good control card, and all those spells, it's 1/1 flyer for blue and blue. It's not horrible. Sphinx of the Second Sun. Oh boy, I've been waiting to talk about this one. 6 and double blue for a creature Sphinx, 6/6. Flying. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. So you get an additional untap, an additional upkeep, and an additional draw step. Oh boy. First thing first, an 8-drop that is a mythic rare. This card, I am afraid you are going to see this card cheated in more often than you are going to see it hard cast, but then again, anything over 6, that's typically the case. Once you get this into play, presuming you get it into play at your starting main phase, you're going to, at the very least, get an additional, well, if you go to your combat and manage to make it out of your combat phase without them killing it, you at least are going to get another draw and then be able to untap everything you've got. Plus all of your upkeep triggers. This is a card that functionally changes the game in a huge way, which is why I think it's 8. The fact that it's a 6/6 flyer is nothing to sneeze at either. Anything that relies on upkeep triggers is going to love this. Magical Christmas Land, you play this the same turn you play something like a Howling Mine or Font of Mythos, either one. Just ways of really getting that advantage of that. I also am terrified of this card, of cloning it multiple times. That looks like that could get insanely stupid pretty quickly. I'm just kind of glad this isn't a wizard, otherwise this would be going to my mono blue deck, but I am going to find a deck to put this in just to break this card. I think it's hysterical. I don't think it's too pushed, but it is definitely needed to be casting this at 8. I don't think if this was any lower than that, this card would just be stupidly busted, and it's bad enough as it is. Supreme Will, this is a reprint. This did some work back in the day. 2 and a blue, instant, choose one. Counter target spell unless the controller pays 3, or look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one on your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. At best, it's counterspell for 3. It's not a bad counterspell at 3 at that. Most of the time, you're going to find yourself using it for the second ability. At least that's been my experience with the card. It's a good card. It goes in most decks that are going to want a counterspell. It's not a hard counter, admittedly, at 3, but it's the flexibility of it, especially in Commander. Modal spells, I think, are worth a premium in Commander because it gives you that little bit more flexibility. So I think it's a fine card, and definitely something you should look at playing if you aren't already. Next, we have Vow of Flight. I mentioned cards like this in the last video. There is a full cycle of these. The blue one is 2 and a blue. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2, has flying, and can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. Best use for this, put it on somebody else's commander. Allow them to fly over and smack somebody around that's not you. It's pretty good for 3 mana. At worst, you put it on your own dude, and it gets +2/+2 in flying, and can fly over everybody else and smack them around. So it's a fine card. It's good. Play it. Ward of Eos Isles, again, another reprint. Generally useful, especially in, High Skies deck where you have a lot of flying creatures. 2 and a blue, 2/2 creature bird wizard with flying, and creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. It's a solid card, and it just drops your mana curve pretty substantially. It makes a lot of cards that are, in that higher range, 5 to 6, a lot more feasible. Because most people will be able to tell you that, there's a world of difference from 5 to 6, from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 8. Yeah, it's being able to drop that by 1 still helps a ton because you get it down 1 turn earlier. It's just that much better. It's a great card, and again, if you're in a blue X Flyers deck, you will want to run this card. Wrong Turn. Oh, this card is so hysterical. I love the flavor of this card. I'm surprised I have never seen this effect before. It is 2 and a blue for an instant. Target opponent gains control of target creature. If an attacking or blocking creature changes controllers, it's removed from combat. That's pretty useful flavor reminder text rather. The flavor text is also good. Its bewildering bellows was met with a stern shh. So, where to even begin with this card? For me, I start thinking about creatures that you don't want to control in the first place that have a bad effect, and you want to give to somebody else. Giving somebody's commander to one of your opponents that is behind to kind of help them try to catch up. It is very much a political card in that regard. It is also a good way of getting rid of a creature that is attacking you, because you give it to an opponent that is not attacking you. Works out. Or, if a creature is, if somebody has just enough blockers to survive, let's just get rid of one of those creatures and give it to that guy over there. You're gone. Bye-bye. It's hysterical. It's great that it's a 3 mana. This is going to be a definite gotcha card that somebody is going to take advantage of, and it's going to lead to some crazy stories. But it is such a flavorful card, and I love the artwork. I love everything about this card. So that does it for the blue cards up to, well, I'm guessing it's probably November 1st by now, at least where I'm at. If you are enjoying these cards, or if you are enjoying these videos, rather, please like this video, share, subscribe for all that content. I'm pretty eclectic about the videos that I release, trying to get more into Magic lately. And hopefully you'll all be back for my next video, which will be covering the black cards that will have been released and spoilers up to that point. Until then, thanks for coming. Peace.